Well, hello and welcome to this edition of Wednesday Palaver. Today is a special edition of Wednesday Palaver and is dedicated to a discussion of the 2021 budget, which was presented by the guy described as majority leader in Parliament. It has had many features, and it has received a lot of criticism. This budget undoubtedly is going to lead to tax increases, to increases in fuel prices and so on. And there's so many people who have said that this is indeed an austerity budget. Government on its part says that, well, the country is broke and it needs to generate resources somehow to be able to take care of its responsibilities and so on. Now today, we are indeed very privileged to have amongst us somebody who has been there before. We are privileged to have with us somebody who has not just been a member of Parliament, but has also been a Deputy Minister of Finance before. We are happy to introduce Honorable Fifi Kwete, former Member of Parliament and former Deputy Minister of Finance, as our guest for tonight's show, and we'll be discussing the 2021 budget. Honorable Fifi Kwete.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much, my brother Kwesi Pratt. I wish to thank you for the invitation. I wish to also say hello to all the beautiful people who are seated here, and also use this medium to greet all your many viewers as well. Let me know the format of the which part will be my part and which part will be the contribution. Let me just before I begin, yeah.
As a matter of fact, Honorable Fifi Kwete will speak to us for between 15 and 20 minutes, give us his perspectives on the budget, and then we'll come back to the studio audience, and then from the studio audience we'll go to the various social media platforms to take comments, and then he'll come and deal with those comments, and then back to the studio audience, and then his final comments, and then we are out of here. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Very good. I think that kind of sums it up for me, so I don't go ranting for 45 minutes without realizing. Good. This year's budget is one that I would say was very keenly awaited for. Because it is the opportunity for us to really know where exactly we stand after 4 years of President Akufo-Addo's government. So therefore, many people wanted to surely see exactly what is coming ahead. Let's say for some of us, really, what has been presented in this year's budget does not really come as a surprise at all. In fact, some of us sounded the alarm bell even back before the election, that there is no free lunch. And all the talk about Akufo-Addo is giving this free, MPP is celebrating that giving free, it was all nothing but electioneering gimmick that was simply meant to deceive the people to win votes. And once those votes have been won, we will pay every single one of those ones through our noses. So, to me, it does not come at all as a surprise. Now, to give you a little bit of the background, when MPP won power in 2016, basically they won power with a certain number of assumptions, and those assumptions were that there was money that easily could be found in this country, so therefore there was no need for taxation. There was very little need for borrowing. And now those were the high-sounding statement that we had ahead of 2016. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people went for that. Because human beings, that's who we are. When somebody sounds that's wonderful, we are tempted to want to say, no, well, maybe this person really means it. So they came into office on the back of that. From the very first budget that was presented in 2017, it was clear that they had no ideas. That they were coming really to play to the gallery in order to deceive the people. First and foremost, their plan was to blame every problem on the NDC. Two, to pretend that, listen, they had some magic wand, and the process give them time, they'll be able to exhibit those, whatever it is that they were doing. Now, so we saw systematically from 2017 an attempt that was made to blame every single thing on the. If you carrying budget carefully, what they've done is to basically go on to the next page. The next page now is to blame every single thing on COVID. So 2017 to 2020, blame everything on NDC. 2021, blame it on COVID. And so if there's any problem, it's because of COVID, it's because of COVID, it's because of COVID. Now, if you look at the background carefully, Ghana is not the only country that has gone through COVID. All around us are countries that have gone through COVID as well. In fact, there are many countries in the world that actually have had a lockdown that is far, far, far more. We did a lockdown for a maximum 3 weeks. And the finance minister declared that the economy of Ghana cannot support a lockdown of more than 3 weeks. Indirectly, our economy is such an informal economy. In fact, the word he used, and he said this actually on May 12, that Ghana's economy is too informal. About 90% of the economy is informal, and therefore we cannot sustain lockdown beyond three weeks. So after 3 weeks, lockdown was removed. Now, when you remove lockdown, what it means then that you've allowed that informal sector to go back to work. That informal sector was working before lockdown. After the 3 weeks, that informal sector went back to work. Now, so you cannot say that your 3 weeks is the reason why your economy has collapsed. It cannot be. An economy that has 90% informal sector, you cannot say that informal sector that went off work for just 3 weeks, after 3 weeks went back to work, that informal sector contributing 90% is the reason why the economy of Ghana has suffered what it has suffered today. It cannot be. So this is nothing but excuses that are being provided by a group that decided to simply go on an electioneering expenditure. And after they have won the power through deception, through lying to the people, they now want to give you the next lie that will make you again give them opportunity to do what it is they intend to do for another 4 years, which is really nothing but lining up their own pocket and doing stuff for themselves in the manner in which we have seen over the last 4 years. Now, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Rwanda, all those countries have also gone through COVID. In none of those countries have you heard that as a result of COVID, we are bringing a COVID levy of 1%. We are increasing national health insurance by 1%. We are bringing something you call a Ebola tax. We are increasing fees that you pay at the toll booth. We actually are bringing. You don't hear any of that in any country except in Ghana. Except in Ghana, a country that did just 3 weeks of lockdown. Now, the excuse is that, you know what, we gave you free water, we gave you free electricity, therefore we need to actually recover those ones. Now, if this same group claimed that between the period, let's say June all the way to December, this country was suffering, the people of this country were suffering so much that they could not afford water, they could not afford electricity. Now, what has changed so suddenly in March? That suddenly this country has become so wealthy that the people of this country now can no more. I mean, we are not just being asked to afford, we actually are being asked to cough more money than is available. So it tells you that what is happening here is simply a government that clearly is out of sorts and decide that, listen, we are going to just go for broke because, you know, there's nothing else we can do in order to survive. So it's important to lay aside the whole talk about whether COVID be responsible for the problem. That is not the truth. Cote d'Ivoire is not having a budget deficit of 11.6%. Nigeria is not having a budget deficit of nearly 2%. Togo is not having a budget deficit of nearly 12%. None of those countries is having it. So we cannot say it's because of COVID, that's why we have a budget deficit of nearly 12%. No, it cannot be. That's absolutely a lie. The reason why we are having this high budget deficit is because this government went for desperation in election, spent money through the roof, and as a result of those money that they have spent, they have actually caused a lot of debt that you and I today are being asked to literally cough back for. So it's important for you to appreciate where it is we are going. Now, I've also heard the issue about, you know what, we need to be able to increase these taxes so that we'll be able to literally grow the economy. There's nothing more. That's a strange logic. It's absolutely strange logic. Because you know what? If you have an informal economy that you said is 90%, now that informal economy, what it is they need at the moment is actually relief, so that they'll be able to use whatever little income they have to put into whatever businesses they do and grow those businesses. Now, people who are in the formal sector, let's say government workers, and people who are in what you call in the proper private sector, formal sector, they have the capacity sometimes to be able to make adjustment when you bring taxes. So government will definitely go through some kind of wage review, and as a result of that wage review, take into account maybe inflation and raise salaries of people who are working. And people who are in that sector, maximum 630,000 people. Those are the people who are working in the public sector. That is government pays. Then you have those who are working in the private sector, maybe the bank, the telecom, and so on. I mean, largely they have a little capacity so they can manage. What about 90% of the people who actually operating in either very, very, very small businesses or informal sector? What happens to them? You increase all these taxes. What you are doing effectively is that you are taking away from them the little they have. And they represent 90% of the economy. So effectively you are destroying that economy by going on what you call that reckless expenditure you want for election purposes. Now you are coming to inflict so much pain on this 90%, and you expect somehow that the economy of Ghana is going to grow. It obviously cannot grow. But you see, it's important for us to speak up, because a lot of time when a lot of this deception goes on, our quietness is what emboldens the people to continue doing what they are doing. When they started all the lies about, listen, I mean, there's economy of Ghana, we can manage it, we have means by we can find money. People should have really exposed them immediately. A lot of people were quiet. We saw over the last 4 years that they really had no answers. For instance, when they came, money that we were borrowing, okay, stood at about, the total borrowing was about 120 billion at the time they came into office. As we are speaking today, we are talking about that amount within a period of 4 years, jumping to about 280. 280. I mean, from 120, you take it to 280 in 4 years. And if you go even into the composition of what it is they've spent that money on, you realize that, for example, before they came to office, the total amount of money that we have that was going into what you call development expenditure, which grows an economy, we had about 4.6%. As we talk today, they have taken it from 4.6% down to about 1%. Meaning a lot of the money they are even borrowing is not even going into really building the solid foundation that are needed, that can grow the economy, that can generate jobs, that can create opportunity for people. So what it is we are having today is creating debt, making those debt now to become your burden, and unfortunately not even using those debt properly to be able to grow the economy, expand, and create job opportunities. So we are really in what you call a very difficult situation. And going forward, things are only going to get worse and worse, because we are dealing with a group of people who they are not even humble enough and honest enough to tell you the bare truth. Now, an economy that goes consumption, because that's what we saw over the last 4 years, it's an economy that really is destroying its own potential for the future. If you think that the only way you can manage an economy is to basically go, everything is free, or we are giving you free this, free that, money that you are supposed to be using to build the strength and the foundations of the economy, you are using it for free stuff. Later on, you come back and punish the people on the back of those free things that they have not even asked you. Because how many people actually told this government that, listen, after the period of the lockdown, we simply could not pay for water? How many people told them that? For the period of the lockdown, and immediately after, maybe people have suffered. So it's understood that some amount of support for that period is okay. All other countries do the same. But in every other country in Africa, after the period of lockdown and give and take some additional 1 month, when they saw that people started getting back to work, they took away some of those. Then we, because we had politics in mind, pretended we care, And then we inflicted all these people. And the worst part is this: when they were doing all this, the thing that they call a relief that they were giving to people, you will notice the parts that actually get the greatest attention is the places where they can do their procurement and do the stealing that they are known for. So, for example, as you speak, 50% allowance that's supposed to be given to what you call frontline workers is still in arrears. A lot of that is still in arrears. Why? Because they can't steal out of that. They're all the things that have to do procurement, where they quickly have to go order these to give to these people. That is exactly what the money has been spent on quickly, because that's where they can steal the money they want to steal and use it for the electioneering that they wanted to use it for. So we're talking about a country that really is in difficulty. Difficulty because there is no honesty on the part of the leadership. The leadership decide that, listen, people are not smart enough, so we are going to just deceive them. We are going to pretend that we are caring about them. We are pretending that we are going to do things for them for free. But really what they are doing is to create an opportunity to loot the country and turn around and tell you later on that, after all, did you think that when we are giving you all these things for free, it was going to remain for free? Did we put a gun on their head that come and give things for free? No. You claim that you are Father Christmas, you can give everything for free. Why are you inflicting the pain on the people of Ghana? Did you not tell the people of Ghana you knew how to develop this economy without taxes? That what? It was a lazy man's approach to governance to go for taxation and also go for borrowing. Suddenly, where are all the ideas that you say you have brought? They have been boasting, for example, that they have brought about a formalization of the economy. I mean, they boast about it used to be only 3 million people or so who had what you call tax identification number. Or they've been able to now increase it to over 15 million people. That actually is a more reason why you should not be taxing us. Because if you claim that you have done that formalization, it means that you have many more people. And if only 3 million people were contributing to tax yesterday, now you have about 15, then you should be able to expect that much more tax will come to you without having to burden people with increased VAT, increase this and increase that. So that tells you again that it is all talk. They do quite a lot of talk. When it comes to the reality, it's nothing to write home about. Now, so I mean, I'm sure there will be opportunity to ask questions. But basically, the important thing I want you to appreciate is that they basically have run this economy aground. That really is what it is. I mean, an economy where, for example, out of every 100 cities that is available to us by way of revenue, a minimum of 90 goes to simply take care of public sector wage and interest payment. We have not even talked about what you call the payment of the principal, because when you borrow, you have to pay both the principal and the interest. Only the interest payment and public sector workers pay alone is taking about 90%. We've not added the amortization, which is the defrayment of the principal. We have not actually started talking about what you call statutory funds, because we have a number of things which are statutory payment. Get fund need to get a certain percentage. What's the name? DACF, that's the District Assembly Common Fund. National Health Insurance. Those are statutory. You cannot run away from them. Obligations. If you add those ones to these two that I just mentioned, that 100 that we are talking about is gone. We actually have to borrow to be able to do that. We've not even started talking about goods and services, running the public administration. We have not even started talking about building infrastructure of this country. So that tells you exactly the kind of economy that we are dealing with. Totally run down economy. And these are the people who tell you that they have what you call ideas coming from heaven. They know how to manage this economy. That they met an economy that was run down, and they have the magic formula. That is exactly what they have actually left for us. So once we have this background, I mean, I think I should take a little break, and then if there are questions, we should be able to look at the other side. Thank you very much.
Well, friends and comrades, I suppose, this is the time for us to ask our questions and to make comments. So those of you who have questions and comments to make, just raise your hand and then we'll call you. So if you have questions and comments to make, please raise your hand and then we'll invite you. And then after that, we shall move on to our social media pages. Can I see behind those of you who have comments to make? Yes, I see you, Osor, I see you, Dinah, and I see you, and anybody else? Yes, I see you. So can I see the hands again? We're going to start from you to you to you to you And then, okay, so 4 questions or comments. Please come to the microphone.
All right. Good evening to viewership and then comrades who are also here. I will tackle on first of all the road minister saying that when he appeared before the vetting committee, he made a statement that when he's given the nod, that's when he resumes office, his first task is to increase road tolls. And my question is, if now all vehicles are paying 1 cedi for toll booths, and if maybe you come and you increase it to 2 cedis, how is it going to affect the road tolls? One, look at our roads from Kaswa to Cape Coast, or let's say from Accra to Cape Coast. Look at the bad roads that drivers normally, and sometimes even accidents from Accra to Tamale. So if road minister Honorable Kwesi Amakwata, I think that if he's given the nod, the first thing that he needs to do is to construct the roads which have been abandoned for almost like 8 years when the NDs were in office. And then my second one is to do with the water, that's the free water, and then the electricity. You gave Ghanaians 3 months, April, May, and then June, free water and then free electricity. And then now you come back and say that free that you gave it to Ghanaians is not free, but they need to come and fill that gap. What gap are Ghanaians to come and fill? Sometimes it is very disheartening that fine, you've given Ghanaians the free to enjoy. Why don't you allow them enjoy? And then now you come back and say that they should come and pay. So to me, I think it doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Good evening. Please, my question is that when you look at the state of our economy or how Ghana does its things, you realize that most often our expenditure is way above the revenues that we generate as a country, and most often we borrow to still pay off debts. As I was sitting, I was considering about why not the government rather even broaden the tax than rather introducing new taxes. So I was glad when you made mention of it that the government is already boasting of they widen the tax net or broaden that scope. Can the government get innovative ways of getting people who are evading tax to pay their tax, and rather those who are also paying but not paying the correct amount of taxes to be correctly taxed, instead of introducing new taxes and the dire consequences and the burden that's going to be on the ordinary Ghanaian? Narrowing it to health, we realized that quite some few months ago they made promises about building a certain number of hospitals, less than 100. In the new budget they've increased it to even 111. But the question I want to ask is that, do you really need all these new hospitals? Or maybe we can have a situation whereby hospitals or facilities in deplorable states will rather be equipped and be given the needed logistics that they need to do the work that they are expected of, or even the staffing situation, because we realize that in this COVID situation most health workers have been affected. More has been complaining of shortages and all those things. So I would rather wish that if the government can have a second look at all these things, or even better still, the government can still invest in telemedicine, whereby we may not need most infrastructure, but by technological means we can reach many people and provide the needed help or help needs that these people will need. Thank you.
Good evening, comrades. I thank Honorable Fifi for putting out this brief introductory to this topic. in a brief summary, I will just say this present government has no knowledge in governance, what we call governance. They don't have a clue. Why am I saying so? You went to IMF to borrow, is it World Bank, to borrow $1 billion. $1 billion. How many Ghanaians benefited in that 1 billion? The accusation they leveled against the former government, putting out stuffing, is it this fund, stabilization fund. You went and dipped your hands in that fund too. How many Ghanaians benefited? Because, to be honest, I have been paying water all along. I paid my light bills. So, just as I'm doing, I'm sure many people are also doing same. So what is the benefit that after getting power on deception, you are coming to tell Ghanaians that what they attained free, they are coming to pay for it? It's deception, it's crime, it's a criminal act. Oh, I'm telling you, it's not a laughing matter, it's a criminal act. But you know, it is only in Ghana now that they will have their way to be doing what they are doing. If it were in Nigeria or La Côte d'Ivoire, I bet you hell would have broken loose. You see, when a nation is being destroyed by God, He is not destroying that nation because of the bad people, but it is being destroyed because of the good people who stand aloof, allowing the bad people to do what they are doing. Just like Honorable said, if we will not wake up to realities and match them or put sense into their heads, we should be expecting more danger ahead. Where is the Walwala Adam Smith? Why is he not talking? Because ever since they surfaced, they got power, he has not spoken. Where is he? He should start mounting the balls that he has been doing at Central University and what have you. You see? So, my brothers and sisters, this is a destiny. We have to get up and tell these people right in the eye that they are doing a criminal act on Ghanaians. Period. At least, I'm sure a secondary Form 1 chap, economics, will be doing better than what they are doing. Thank you.
Good evening, comrades, and good evening to Honorable. Honorable, I'm really grateful for throwing more light into our eyes. The sonar was really awkward, and it was a total failure. Because, excuse my language, our so-called majority leader just came in praising the president, blah blah blah. He did that. But we the citizen doesn't see anything. And my hope, my question is, if the majority leader can come and talk plenty without we the citizens see nothing, can we call them for accountability? If possible, which way? Thank you very much.
Well, I do hope that the producers are getting ready with the messages from social media, Twitter, and WhatsApp, and Facebook. I'd like to pose a question. 5 years ago, His Excellency, the current Vice President, told us that taxing people as a means of generating resources for development is a lazy man's option. That using taxes and borrowing is a lazy man's option. And what we actually need to do is to focus attention on production. Now, how come that after 4 years, we are back to taxes and raising loans? And I'm told that we are just about to go for another loan of $5 billion. Just about to go for another loan of $5 billion. So what happened to production? They promised that production was going to be the way to generate resources for national development. What happened to production? I'm not so sure. Now, the other issue is simply this. They claim, the government and its surrogates and propagandists claim that Ghana manage covers best. That Ghana is the best country in the world when it comes to the management of COVID-19. Now, what does that mean? Because if you manage COVID-19 well, it means that we are minimizing its impact on the economy. You understand? One of the things, when we say that we manage COVID-19 well, it can only mean that we have also minimized its impact on the economy. Now, how come that we are where we are? And indeed, where are we? Are we in any place different from what we used to be 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, before COVID? Yes, we are. I mean, we are spending 90% of total national revenue plus grants. In fact, 91% on debt servicing and debt repayment. That's not a new phenomenon which occurred last year. So how is that blamable on COVID? We are spending close to 70% of total national revenue on public sector remuneration. There's a huge hole in the budget. That hole was in the budget before COVID. So how do you blame COVID and so on? So at this stage, I'd like to invite Loretta Nade Ashi. I hear she changed her name, but Loretta Nade Ashi, one of the producers of the show, to read messages from Facebook and also from our WhatsApp platform. Loretta.
Good evening, friends. So this says, good evening, Uncle Kwesi. I am happy with the revelation from Honorable Fifi Kote. My only challenge is his colleagues in the minority will find a way to support this killer budget. They will tell us that they did it in national interest. Workers in Ghana must come together and find a way to rescue the nation from these politicians. Salasi Adom from Pokwase. He continues saying, Uncle Kwesi, I wish those who voted for Nanado because of free water and free electricity will be given the opportunity to withdraw their vote. Salasi Pokwase. Thank you, Salasi. We all wish to. Okay, so it says, something don't add up in the budget. COVID-19 tax is expected to rank in 899 million, but the budget for health is 130 million. Sanitation tax is expected to rate in 311 million, but the budget for the sanitation ministry is 90 million. What happens to the rest of the money? From Koshi, and he says, and this one also says, we run a propaganda economy. It is so sordid and insidious to the integrity of I think it's going to be integrity of every government propagandist. And I wonder why they can't realize it. According to official records, 91% of government revenue is spent on two line items of interest payments and salaries. The economy of all neighboring countries did better in the midst of the COVID-19. New taxes are introduced against all economic principles in an attempt to revive the economy and many more. But the theme of the national narrative is to is the loose stock that government has been excellent in managing. No deeper analysis of the issue. Kosi from Denu. And we have some on Facebook as well. It says, my General Secretary, I think this goes to Honorable Fifi, and says, empty budget from James Chan. Nana Kwabena says, 419 government. Andrew Tete says, the most incompetent government ever in the history of Ghana. Maru says, where is Baumia, the economic messiah who knew everything when in opposition? Better managers indeed. Maybe more town hall lectures will solve Ghana's economic problems. God of John Mahama never sleeps. 4 more for Nana, indeed. Ha 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 ha. Then Andrew says, they are posting Baomia's posters campaign for 2024 already. Then it goes on, says, Blaze Tulu from Kumasi says, how can we say with absolute certainty that the amount government spent giving the water and electricity is the same amount they are taking back through the new tax? What makes the government think they can give the citizen anything for free? Whatever they think they are giving already belongs to the people. The tricks of our leaders are gradually being exposed. Nana Kobna says, my problem is NDC. My problem is NDC is so quiet. Actually, okay, so let's say it again. My problem is NDC is so quiet. NDC actually needs a new leadership. JN is not serious for power. Then Don Ike says, watching live from Atebubu, Amantin, Akufo-Addo, borrow money to pay debt. A clueless president who believed that $0.0 is still bigger than 0.0 Ghana cedis. Oscar says, we didn't ask anybody for free water or electricity. We were for the electricity throughout the year. I don't quite get that. McDavid says Fifi is superb. Abdul Rahman says this is just a propaganda. Let's help the government to realize its ambitions for the country. Instead of this needless propaganda program, the future is bright. Yakubu Usman says, if they manage COVID best, why increase taxes again? Then Yakub Osman also says, 4 more for disaster. Ebenezer Dawana says, okay. Okay, so I think I'll end it here. But if you want to be part of our studio audience next week, you can call us on this number and book your seat, 054-8540-312. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Loretta, and those are the messages we got on our social media handles. We now have some time, indeed 15 minutes to be precise. I want to give all the 15 minutes to Honorable Fifi Kwete to answer the question and to respond to some of the comments. So you have 15 minutes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much to our friends who join us via the various social media handles. Thank you for following the program as well. I think a number of what came, many of them were contributions, so I would not go too much back on those. But let me see the few ones that came in form of questions. Let me see in terms of questions, those I took note of. I think the second, I think you asked the second person who came to us, that's you, I think the lady. You mentioned that expenditure is normally above, no, I think it's rather, I didn't take note of the name, so sorry. You say expenditure normally is above revenue. Why are we not finding innovative ways of raising revenues? You're right, that really is what it is the government has promised. I mean, because they actually made it clear that, taxing was very easy. Anybody can tax at all. So they basically had answers. Now, so for the past 4 years, I mean, the people of Ghana have waited patiently for those answers. And unfortunately, those answers have not been forthcoming. Now, what made it worse is this. I mean, when you are having a struggle to be able to have what you call creative ideas to increase your revenue, what you should then do is to make sure that at least whatever revenue you have, use it in a way that the economy can develop even faster. So at least when you do that, it means you grow the economy. As you grow the economy, the individuals who are in that economy get more income. And then when they get more income, a lot more then comes back to you in terms of taxation. The one we saw over the last 4 years was actually a systematic effort to impoverish what you call the productive sector of Ghana. For instance, for 4 years, the people who, in fact, one of the groups in Ghana that normally when money comes to them, somehow money flows through the system, are mostly contractors. Because they are working in different parts of the country. So invariably, when you're able to pay them, because that money is then used to be able to pay different other people. So everybody then gets a bit of that. It's not like they go dashing, but when money becomes available to them, different people in the country get access to that money to various kind of purchases and so on. This government systematically crippled all contractors in this country over the last 4 years. In fact, most of them today, as I talk to you, basically have become paupers. A government that claimed that in 100 days after taking over power, will be able to pay all contractors. They have not been able to pay. I know people today whose job has been done since what? 2014-15, who still have not yet been paid a dime. Even though this government has had access to the greatest amount of money that no other government can contend with. In terms of taxation, in terms of taxes, in terms of borrowing, your revenue, no government in our history has had access to the amount of money this government has had. When we came into office in 2009, we came at a time when, for example, there was 1.5 billion debt left at all. We paid that money maximum 1 year. When we came into office in 2009, we had what you call Dango 6 roads that this government, the predecessor MPP government had left without any provision. 1 dime was not provided for. When we came, what do? We made sure we raised money to be able to get those projects done and done quickly. That's what you do when you're a serious government. Even in the time of President Mahama, we had what you call this thing called legacy and energy debt, which actually had accumulated for a period of several years. What did we do? We made sure we put a system in place to be able to take care of that legacy debt, which actually made sure the banks were not collapsing, the energy sector, players were not collapsing, and the country as a whole gets some cushion as a result of it. You have actually had access to all these revenues, and you still impoverish the country. So the point you made about innovation is true. But if you are unable to get innovative ideas to even get revenue, make sure that you make proper use of the expenditure. Don't, for example, use the money for consumption and be singing free, not knowing it's actually a ploy to inflict more pain on the people. Don't do that. You understand? You had the last 4 years, everywhere you pass, Nana Akufo-Addo will give you this free, give you that free. All of that was just nothing but desperation for power. That's all it is. And that's why I'm happy about what you said. The biggest problem in Ghana today is the credibility crisis that Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia have brought. They are the most discredited leaders in the history of this country. That's really what it is, plain and simple. What they do the most is to give nice speeches and use words that are sounding great as if they have ideas, but absolutely is the opposite. It's the complete opposite. Now, so that was actually a good point you made. There's another question about whether we should call, I don't know whether you mean we should call the MPs for accountability or we should call the members of government for accountability. Which one?
The government itself.
The government, not the MPs.
No.
All right. Actually, the reason why you have MPs is so that the MPs will be able to literally champion your cause, because not everybody in Ghana will be able to have access to the government directly. So your MPs, they are supposed to really do the job. The question you ask is, a lot of, especially the people who are on the side of the government, even if the thing is the most wrong, they will support it because I'm sure that is their government. All they want is for the people to remain in power, hoping that once they're in power, maybe they too will be able to get some opportunity. That's simple as that. So that creates a bit of a difficulty. This parliament has given us a fine opportunity to be able to do better. And I expect that especially the opposition MPs, because of the numerical strength we have, will be able to absolutely ensure that the right thing gets done. I'm confident that will be done. I mean, the beginning has been a little difficult, I know, but I believe that they care enough about this country, they care enough about the people of this country to be able to ensure that something gets done about that. Kwesi raised very important issues. The first one has to do with what has happened to the so-called production. Kwesi, the truth, I mean, how could there be production when you systematically, for example, destroy the people who are supposed to be producing in the country? For instance, you open a floodgate, for example, that has turned this country into what you call an import country. Really, that's what happened. In fact, one of the first things they did when they came was what you reduce what we call import levy, which actually meant that you say, no, anything at all can come into this country for free. I mean, for much cheaper. And of course, the people took note of that. Indeed, at the same time, you claim that you are bringing 1D, 1F. Ab initio, right from the beginning, you have destroyed even your productive capacity, because all the things that are coming to compete with what it is you are producing. So how can you in one breath claim you are coming to increase production, when at the same time you are opening the floodgate? Why? Because a lot of them have those businesses in mind. I was in the agri sector, I mean, for maximum 18 months, so not really too long. But the period that we were there, one of the things that actually happened in this country was the attempt that we made, for example, to reduce the amount of money we spend on importation of rice. And for that period, I mean, rice production for the whole of the time I was in office, and even after I left, was maximum $500 million. By the time these people came into office, 1 year into office, they are taking it from that period, that previous rate of $500 million a year, to 1.1. At the moment, I'm sure it's almost approaching 1.5 billion. Now, how do you expect to be able to have any proper productive sector when you actually open floodgate to the point that the people who are supposed to produce cannot compete? Poultry farmers have actually lamented over how effectively their sector has completely been destroyed. Rice producers will tell you the same thing. I mean, before, when we were in office, Avnash and the rest used to do a lot of work because they were great millers that provided what you call off-take capacity to farmers. They have come, effectively almost all those millers now on their knees. And at the same time, you hear them tooting their horns, blowing their horns all over the place about 1D, 1F, about how they're that's what I'm telling you, that's what they do the most, Kwesi. They talk. Their masters are talking. They believe that the people of Ghana are not smart. So we just have to bamboozle them, use words, throw words about, use a lot of slogans. At the end of the day, I mean, get maybe your friends who are in the media to also keep quiet when wrong things are being done. And people who are in various key society, all of them are quiet because you believe that after all, you have even the electoral commission is on your side, and you have other people who are ready to do your job for you anyway. So that actually is what is going on. A criminal conspiracy to destroy this country. That's really what we have. That's why we need to take our destiny in our hands and ensure that everything is done. Everything is done to ensure that we see the back of these guys. These guys are absolutely no good for this country. This is not just politics. We're talking here about people who truly would not have the interest of the people of Ghana at heart. COVID manager, they say they are the best. I think that goes without saying. If you claim that you have been the best in terms of managing COVID, then we actually should not be the worst in terms of the effect of COVID on the economy. Cote d'Ivoire is not having this effect. Togo not having it. Rwanda not having it. Benin not having it. Nigeria not having it. Why are we having it? Highest budget deficit for Nigeria at the moment, I think it's about 6%. You are doing 12% without adding the financial sector bailout. Even that whole attempt of taking out certain things and say, oh, you should not add it to the deficit. That again is part of the deception. When we were in office, when I told you, for example, that we paid the toll debt of about 1.5 billion, the energy legacy debt in the energy sector, we added all those to the deficit in order for the people of Ghana and the world to know exactly what the situation was. Then we are dealing with a bunch of liars. All they want to do is to deceive people. So when they come to parliament, they remove some of it and put it under and say that the deficit is this, because they are trying to deceive you. When the real deficit is much higher. Then when you turn and say, oh no, this one is a financial sector and so on, you are responsible for it. Because after all, we have made financial sector crisis before. For example, when told debt, it was actually something so big that Ghana Commercial Bank could have collapsed in 2009. And Ghana Commercial Bank's collapse would have brought about a complete lack of trust in the banking sector and destroyed the whole financial sector. We managed that without having to impose any of this burden on anybody. You can and destroy all these financial sector people by your own plenty talk, targeting some of them, saving those of them you like, and then at the end of the day, after you cause crisis, people panic, take their money out of the system, causing a problem to the system. You come around and say it is because of other people there from coming to impose levy that will make sure I get that money back. I think we need to awaken and know that we are dealing with a very, very dangerous group of people, and that mistake should never be made again. Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, I have learnt something. I've learnt quite a lot. And I've learned quite a lot from the presentation of Honorable Fifi Kwete, from the questions that you have made in the studio, the questions and comments in the studio, and also from all of our audience on Facebook and other social media handles. I've learned a lot, and I am personally very, very grateful. Pan-African Television cannot express its gratitude enough to Fifi, my brother and comrade Fifi, to all of you in the studio, and all of you who allowed us into your homes, and those of you who watched us in your cars and so on. We are so very grateful. Wednesday Palaver is becoming one of our most popular programs. Last week, we had an audience of about 30,000 throughout the world. The week before that, we had an audience of 25,000 from Russia, from China, from everywhere. This program is growing and growing. And it's only growing because of your support, those of you who come into the studio and engage with us. It is growing because of all of you who are watching us on different social media handles. And we'd like to say a very, very big thank you for your support and your participation. Pan-African Television undoubtedly is becoming, if it has not already become, the biggest television platform in Ghana today. We are already broadcasting to 42 African countries. We are reaching Europe, and we are reaching Latin America, South and Latin America. And those of you who watch us regularly, we give you the best in news, give you the best in current affairs, give you the best in entertainment and everything. So please, continue watching Pan-African Television. The more you watch us, the more you encourage us to do our best. Thank you so very much, and see you all again next week, Wednesday. Bye-bye.